Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I will discuss Java interface, which is basically it is another way to achieve abstraction in Java. But before that, please support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit also the notification bell so that you will be notified with all the new videos that I'm going to upload in this channel. And so like I said a while ago, interface or Java interface is another way to achieve abstraction in Java. And so again, when we say abstraction, it means you are hiding the implementation of methods. So meaning to say, you put the body of the method in another place, in another class, but the definition of that method will be in interface. So it's like that. So that is abstraction. I have a video about abstraction, and if you will visit our channel, I have here a video about abstract class, abstract method, and abstraction. And so I am suggesting for you to visit this video or watch this video so that you will have a better understanding about abstract class, abstract method, and about abstraction. And so let's go back to our topic. Here it is. And so, how do we create a Java interface? Okay, so here I have an existing main class, Java main class. It's called main class. And I have an existing class, Java class. It's called class 1. I don't have anything yet here. And so let's create an interface. So to create an interface, just like Java class, so just right click your project name, go to the new, and Java interface is there. So you just have to select Java interface. If Java interface is not here, you just have to click other, and you have to make sure that you click Java interface here. And so you just have to click next and type here your interface name. So I'm just going to say interface 1. You can place any name you want. For me, I will just put interface 1. And so I'm just going to click finish. And there you go. So you know that you are correct in what you are doing because it says here public interface. Okay, so let's just remove this so that we have space. There you go. So like I said a while ago, all the things that you can place here will be methods only, but the definition of the method only. Alright, and so the body of that method should be placed, it must be placed in another class or in a class. Okay, you can place it in any class that you will have in your project. Okay, but however, if you have an exam and in the exam paper it says where to put the implementation of the interface or the body of the methods, then you just have to follow that. But basically you can put it anywhere. Okay, and so let's create a method. So like I said, only method that you can put here, and so let's call it as public. Let's say void. So I'm just going to create a void method, and so public void, let's say display address. And so it's going to be like this only. So you just have to define it. Okay, where are you going to put the implementation of this or the body of this? You place this in a class. And so we have already a class here. It's called class 1. So I'm just going to put it here. Okay, so it's here. So I'll just put it here so we can see all our codes now. No? So the body will be here. So if the problem is telling you, okay, if you have a set of problem And if the problem is telling you that you have to place it in the class 1, then you have to put here the body of the method. Okay, so very simple. I'm just going to print the address. For instance, Los Angeles. Alright, so something like this. So this is just to print. This is a simple example so that you will just understand the concept. So there you go. So again, just have to remember, in the interface, you can only put the definition of the method. So in this case, I only have a void and I don't have parameters. If you have parameters, you can just place those parameters here. And if you have this method to return value, so you just have to change this void to a different data type. Okay, so it's like that. So if it is int, so it should return an int. So this one is just a void function. So something like this. Okay, now how do we say now that this class or the object will use the interface? And so we have to use there the implements here. The body of the interface methods are provided by the implement class. Okay, so that class should be the one that will implement the interface. So meaning to say, instead of using extends, this time we will be using implements. Okay, so for instance here, since it is in the class 1, we have to use the implements here so that it can use the methods that we specify in our interface. So for the interface, very simply, you just have to use implements. So for instance here, I'm just going to say here, implements interface 1. So it's going to be like this. So as simple as that. Okay, now let's try to put now into action our class. Let's try to test our class now. Okay, the methods inside our class, and so therefore I'm going to create an object based on class 1. So class 1 obj1 is equal to new class 1. So since I don't have constructor for class 1, so I will have no parameter here or parameters. So there's no need for parameters. So let's make it simple so that you will just simply understand it. But again, if you need constructor here, you have attributes here in class 1. Here in class 1, you have attributes and you need a constructor. It is possible to put constructor. Okay, just for this discussion, so that it's easy for you to understand, I will not put any constructor so that you will understand it better. And so it's like that. So I'm going to call now the display address, and so obj1 dot display address, here it is already. I'm just going to double click this, and that's it. And so let's try to run it. F6, and there you go. We already have this one. So we have successfully used the interface. So again, to use the methods of the interface, you just have to use the implements and then the name of your interface. And make sure when you use the implements here, if you put the implements here, make sure that the class contains or it has the body of the methods you declare in the interface. Alright, so as simple as that. Let's have another example. For instance here, I have here public, let's say, going to have int, let's say compute numbers. Alright, so let's say like this. There you go. So it will have two parameters, for instance. So int n1, int n2. There you go. So something like this. Okay. So I'm just going to have the body of this. I'm going to have the body of this here in our class. So I'm just going to paste like that. There you go. So it will just return the sum. For instance, compute numbers, it will just return the sum. So I'm just going to say return n1 plus n2. So there you go. So you just have to put again the body of your method from the interface in the class. Okay, so it's like this. And so I'm going to call that, and so as simple as that, I'm just going to print the return value. Okay, so if I want to print the return value, I'm going to call this method, and then it will print the return value. So I can do that directly by printing system.out.println, and so obj1 dot compute numbers, and it will have two parameters, let's say 10 and 20, semicolon there, and so it will be something like this, and there you go. Okay, so there you go. So the implementation is here, the definition is here in the interface. As simple as this. This is how we use the interface in Java. All you have to do is to just put the definition of all your methods inside that interface. Okay, let's try to run this one. And so there you go, we have the 30 here. Okay, so again, I don't have a getters and setters here. I did not use any setters and getters, but it is possible to have a setters and getters here in this class here. Okay, so you can combine this class here can have attributes, encapsulated attributes, also normal method. You can also put normal method here, so something like that. You can also place these methods here. These are interface methods. So these interface methods can also be placed in an abstract class if you want to. Okay, if the problem requires you to do that, you can also place these interface methods inside an abstract class. So something like that. Okay, so you just have to remember also that an interface cannot contain a constructor. Interface methods are by default public or abstract. So again, this one here, these methods here are automatically abstract. Display address and compute number. So you don't need to specify here abstract, because by default they are public and they are abstract. And so therefore, if they are public, I can just remove that. And so when we run, it's the same thing. It's working perfectly, still the same. Okay, so as simple as this. This is how we use the abstract in Java. Also, by the way, you can also place attributes here, but automatically they are static or final. For instance, int x equal 10. So this x is an automatic, static, or final. If you want it final, you can say final. Final means x is constant and you can never change it. And so for instance, if you say x is equal to x plus 10, you will have an error here. See, there is an error here, because when we say final, then x here, it's an int. That means this x will always have a value of 10. So something like that. What about static? Static int y, let's say 20. So when we say static, this means that the value is the same for every instance of class. The meaning of that is that this y, whenever you extend or whenever you have a class wherein you will use this y, this variable y from this interface, that y, the value of that y will always be the same in another class. Okay, so that's the meaning of that. So every time you will create a class and then you will implement this interface here, just like class 1, we have implements. So if you will use the interface for that class, the value of y will always be the same, which is always 20. That's the difference between final and static. So as simple as that. So you can also, again, you can also create or you can place here some member variables, but it's only final and static that you can use. Or automatically, the variables that you will present here are final or static. Okay, so as simple as that. So this is how we use the interface in Java. And once again, here in the class 1 here, you can create another class, by the way. You can create another Java class and you can put anything in that class. Methods, constructor, attributes. Same also here. You can also place here some attributes, some a constructor, some setters and getters. You can also place here. So just like any other class, just this time you have some implementation of your interface methods from your interface. Okay, so I hope you have learned something new in this tutorial video. Thank you very much for watching and see you on my next one.